Hello and welcome. I'm Melinda Kimami. Tonight, federal government pledges more support for the nation's military on the occasion of the Army Day celebration in Lagos as Army Chief vows complete routing of insurgents in the country. As the search for an end to the farmer-herder crisis continues, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Robert Clark, insists ranching remains the best solution. 31 inmates of Enugu prison breathe air of freedom following the intervention of the Presidential Committee on Prison Reform and Decongestion. And a 7.1 magnitude earthquake rocks parts of Southern California in the United States, and that's the biggest tremor to strike the area in 20 years.
On business news tonight, Securities and Exchange Commission finally approves listing of Airtel Africa on the Nigerian Stock Exchange after initial postponement.
And on sports news tonight, the Super Eagles of Nigeria edge out cup holders Cameroon in a 5-goal thriller to reach the quarterfinals of the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations.
We will overcome our country's security challenges. That's the promise of the Army to Nigerians today. But it seems the federal government has a bigger plan on the same matter, owing to the assurance by the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo. He says the federal government is ramping up its security structure to end kidnapping and banditry. He was speaking at the event marking the 2019 Nigeria Army Day celebration in Lagos, which had prominent Nigerians in attendance, including the former head of state, Yakubu Gowon. Our correspondent, Chris Alems, had the rest of the story.
Dignitaries arrived from various parts of the country to be part of this year's Army Day celebration in Lagos.
Of the President Commander-in-Chief.
However, the event didn't start until the arrival of the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, who represented the special guest and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Muhammadu Buhari. A military parade by personnel from various battalions soon follows. To demonstrate the Army's cognizance of the sacrifice being made by some of its personnel, they are honored with the Chief of Army Staff Awards for their dedication to duty. Another significant part of the occasion is the conferment of Medal of Honors on some retirees of the Nigerian Army, including a 104-year-old Second World War veteran, Pa Adam Aduku. In his remark, the Chief of Army Staff says the military is making progress against insurgency, and it's also poised to win the heart of the people.
We are determined to remain resolute and ruthless to deal with all forms of criminality in our country. The Nigerian Army has introduced numerous non-kinetic or the soft power approach aimed at winning the hearts and minds of the citizens.
Before giving his speech, the Vice President unveils a light armored vehicle made in Nigeria.
That is infantry light vehicle for you.
Several of your colleagues have indeed paid the supreme price in order to keep us safe and secure. We acknowledge and appreciate these sacrifices and pray for the repose of the souls of the deceased. Our hearts are with their families and loved ones. It is our responsibility as a government and as political leaders to ensure that they did not and do not die in vain. We have a duty to continue to make available to you, our armed forces, all the moral, material, and financial support that you require.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me once again remind you that the following machines must wear your secret.
While the military celebrates its day, it's also a reminder of the many battles they have to contend with in different parts of the country. The least we could do as a country is to continue to support them so they remain a professionally responsible force truly committed to securing the nation's territorial integrity. From the Ikeja Cantonment, Lagos, Crystal Ems, Channels Television News.
While some soldiers and officers of the Nigerian Army renewed their pledge to continue to defend the nation's territorial integrity in Lagos, their colleagues in the northeastern state of Adamawa choose to dedicate the day to another form of service to humanity. The soldiers and officers embarked on a market cleaning exercise at the Jimeta market in Yola, the Adamawa state capital, as part of activities marking the Nigerian Army Day. They also engaged in a medical outreach at the Makoli village, a community hosting IDPs who were given free medical services. The governor of Adamawa State, Umaru Fintiri, applauds the army for their sacrifices at securing the country and promised to continue to give them maximum support.
Whatever it will take us to support the Nigerian military and the Nigerian armed forces, as people and as a government, we will continue to do that so far as they are discharging their constitutional responsibility of defending the territorial integrity of this country. We salute their courage and we will continue to pray for them.
The president is in Niamey, the capital of Niger Republic, ahead of the African Union summit taking place tomorrow, that's July the 7th. President Muhammadu Buhari departed the nation's capital Abuja this afternoon and arrived near Niamey about 1 hour 10 minutes after to prepare for the session. He's expected to participate in the 12th extraordinary session of the Assembly of the Union of African Continental Free Trade Area and the first media coordination meeting of the AU and the regional economic communities. The extraordinary session of the Assembly of the Union is also expected to launch the operational instruments of the agreement establishing the Assembly of the AU on African Continental Free Trade Area. President Buhari is accompanied by the First Lady, Mrs. Aisha Buhari, as well as governors of Borno, Kebbi and Katsina State, amongst other top government officials. And while Nigerians await the next line of action of the federal government on the controversial Ruga settlement program, a senior advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Robert Clark, has been speaking on what he describes as the solution to the controversy. He told our judiciary correspondent, Shola Shoyele, that the country must return to ranching, not only to resolve the farmer herders crisis, but to boost the nation's economy.
Must have ranches. That is the only way solution. Many Nigerians have spoken on this. I have not seen one of them offer a solution. All we hear from big men in Nigeria, you want to Islamize, you want to do this. Nobody has offered. Even people who were in government for these years and were in full authority, executive power, have never mentioned a solution. This man has come now to say, okay, this is the solution. I am offering you every state that federal government's money will be pumped into the states to create ranches. If you want, take it. If you don't want, don't take it. What I'm going to suggest, because I don't see all this, what these Arewa boys are talking about. I won't say they are stupid, no. But they are playing politics. How can you say that if you are not allowed to graze your cows into the south, then you will not allow? When what Buhari is proposing for you in the north is for the betterment of you people. Look at Taraba State. What else do they have more than agriculture? And look at them carrying placards yesterday that they want to steal our lands. So the problem is by politicians. Forget all these politicians creating dissent and anything amongst us. What is good is good. What is bad is bad. If Buhari feels it is good, let him ask 9 governors in the north who are within his thinking, who are within his party rank, to accept it. And let them see in 5 years' time, you will see the difference between these states. If Buhari can go back to the foundations laid by Zik, Saudana and Awolowo in creating ranches in the regions during their own period, and also what Audu Bako did in Kano, Nigeria will be, greatly advancing economically and agriculturally.
4 persons sustained injuries today when a fuel tanker overturned at the Ogere area of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. The Federal Road Safety Corps in Ogun State confirmed to Channels Television that the accident happened around 6:50 a.m. The Corps Commandant, Clement Oladele, explains that the tanker, which was burnt beyond recognition, was heading to Ibadan from Lagos when it lost control due to reckless driving. He says 4 persons suffered burns from the incident, which also affected the car. The scene of the incident has been cleared to ease the flow of traffic, while victims are said to be undergoing treatment in hospital. Calm has returned to the Jegun area of Lagos as residents begin to count their losses after Thursday's fire incident. 2 people died in the fire, which was triggered by vandals caught siphoning petroleum products from an NNPC pipeline. Our correspondent Olu Phillips tells us more.
The area is calm and cool, as it's popularly said within the security parlance. After the flames and fumes, the picture is clearer of the extent of damage from the pipeline inferno. A few people are seen curiously looking in this direction. The engineers on site tightening any loose end. But what exactly happened, you may ask? The vandals actually drilled into an existing pipeline, attached their own valve to it, connected a hose to it, and traveled all the way into the discharge tank. So this tank that burnt over is one of their discharge tank, which allows them to cut away the national asset and the destruction and the one-time destruction that we see here today. Good news is that the engineers from PPMC and NNPC actually on site trying to contain the incident, trying to close up the valve, but so far they're still having challenges trying to adjust all of those places that are leaking and seeping through, which is at the point where the vandals actually had their way.
2008, it happened here. I guess it was a mistake then by those who were doing it. Now it's a bigger mistake by them again. And look at what has happened. Then we laughed. Now I'm not laughing anymore. I'm in pains now. I'm in sorrow and I'm in debt. What do I do now? My wife's car is gone. That's just my wife's car and other things. What do I do? What do I do with my life?
There are no assurances also that these losses are insured and claims will be paid. It's a bad day for vandals, a bad day for those who lost properties, loved ones, and of course the nation. About 20 million naira worth of PMS has been lost in this incident. If you do the simple math of 33,000 liters multiplied by 145 naira and multiply the answer by 4 of the trucks involved in the theft, someone has to bear that cost. This junction is known as Fire Junction, and the distance from here to where the incident was perpetrated by vandals gives you, or should give you, some level of worry as to how they found the courage to perpetrate such brazen acts. It's just less than 100 meters from here. I'm aware. So it's also a public knowledge that there is a pipeline surveillance contract. There is also the security agency that is also responsible for securing the pipeline. And this has happened just in the open. From Ijegu, Sherry Road, Olu Phillips, Channels Television News.
In part 2, after the break, an 86-year-old man and 30 other inmates of the Enugu prison regained freedom. That's in a moment. Stay with us.